All right, well, hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me today.
No problem.
So a good place to start is tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about who is Jaclyn Reber.
Yes, so I am Jaclyn Reber. I am Pastor Chase's wife. I substitute teach in the district. That's kind of what I do for work, but most of the time I'm home. We have 3 kids right now. We have Savannah and Gideon, and we are fostering the cutest 1-year-old on the planet.
I tend to agree. I'm biased, obviously.
I'm okay with that.
So, speaking of the cutest 1-year-old on the planet, what initially drew you to foster care? Like, what made you consider it, and what made you kind of move in that direction?
Yeah, so I think something that's always bothered me, probably throughout most of my life as I became aware of issues with kids, is just kids that are hurting just really bothered me. And so as I got older, trying to figure out what that looked like, and Chase and I being married, I never thought I would do foster care. We said eventually maybe we'd want to adopt, kind of a thing. And I really said I would never do foster care, and that's how I knew God was changing my heart over the years. Because eventually it went from never wanting to do foster care to maybe we should check this out to I can't not do this once I kind of got into it. And so it was really like 7 years in the making. It wasn't a rush into thing. But finally we kind of just said, no more excuses. This is a way that we can tangibly help. We might not be able to solve all the world's problems with children, which I want to do, but we can maybe do something for someone. And so we just took that step, kind of a faith, and now here we are.
Yeah. Kind of a unique question for you. How do you feel like the foster care program has helped you?
Yeah, so we know there's a lot of good agencies out there. We have specifically worked with Bethany the entire time and had a great experience. I don't know if Chase would say the same, because he doesn't like classes, but I do think that the classes at the beginning do help prepare you for what's coming. And some of it is just common sense, that's true, but a lot of it is showing the realities of what does it look like to take care of a child that may have experienced trauma, and that's not something you just know in your everyday life. So I think that's a great way, and of course everyone at Bethany has been great and available for us and our questions, so yeah, that's been helpful.
Great. That's great. That's an important thing for everybody to know. The classes on the front end are required, and
yeah, regardless of the agency.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes that feels like a barrier. So, but it's good for me to hear, as being a member of Bethany, that was helpful.
Yeah.
And tangible. Right?
For me. Yeah.
So one of the ways that one of the things that I hear a lot from foster parents, being in the work, is how they struggle with feeling supported, right? That I think we're in the American culture very accustomed to doing baby showers and like those hallmark things in the United States, right? Yeah. But when somebody enters into the foster care arena, those hallmarks look different and they ebb and flow. So maybe walk us through what is, in your experience, what does it look like for somebody to truly support you? Can you give us an example, or maybe where that's been lived out for your family?
Yeah, and we have a lot of examples, because the 2 times that we have taken placements, we had kind of an army of people offering to do things, dropping stuff off at our door, asking what they can do. Honestly, I don't even think we took everyone up on all of their offers, but knowing that people were there if we needed something, that was huge. I feel like fostering can be isolating because not many people fully understand, but we had a lot of friends say, we don't fully understand, but we are here. And sometimes it's just that, like knowing people are just there.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. One of the things that might be helpful for people to know is what the process looks like leading up to. So walk us through how much time that took to actually go through the licensing process, and then how long have you actually been approved foster parents?
Okay, so the licensing process took longer for us than most people because of COVID. There was a lot of things happening, it was new for everyone. So it just took a really long time for that. I think we were waiting on one last home visit and we couldn't because everyone was sheltered in place.
Yeah.
And then once we got licensed, it was a long time before we got a call for a placement. At that time, schools weren't in, and so they said a lot of these kids aren't coming into contact with like mandatory reporters, which is terrible and sad. But they did say they expected once things were lifted, they would be getting a lot of calls, so they wanted people licensed. So we have been licensed now since the summer of 2020. And so we were licensed for quite a while before we got any calls. We've had 4 calls total. 2 ended up not working out, because that happens often. You get a call, hey, would you be willing to do this? We say yes. You wait for like 24 hours and then they're like, never mind, which is fine because everything is unpredictable and we expect that. Our first placement came a couple months after we got licensed. And then this long-term placement that we have now came a year afterwards. So we've been, licensed almost 2 years now.
Yeah,
basically.
wow, time flies. It really doesn't feel like that long to me.
Yeah,
yeah,
it is
that's
weird.
incredible.
Yeah.
So you clearly have experience, right? You've been, I know we've talked before and you've said, I just feel like I don't have tons of experience, but you've lived it, right? That's the reality. So having lived it, having had multiple placements, gone through the whole licensing process and all the things that come with that, what is your advice to a family who's considering foster care?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to pass on. So this advice was given to me probably 5 years before I even got licensed, and a friend said, don't go into it expecting to receive anything. She said, if you go into it completely self-sacrificially, then you will not be disappointed. And that's kind of the harsh reality, but I think a lot of times when your expectations don't meet reality, there's frustration and confusion and whatever. So I think that helped me just have a good grounding for what we were actually doing and checking our own hearts, making sure we are going into this self-sacrificially so we were prepared for what was to come. So that was really good advice, even though it was really hard for me. Other advice is just to do a lot of research. I think a lot of potential foster families want to nitty-gritty all the agencies that are out there and research all that, but I recommend, it sounds dumb to say use Instagram for research, but follow some hashtags, read stories of people who have been in it for years and years, read celebrated reunification stories, read celebrated adoption stories, just like immerse yourself in people stories that are actually doing it. And I think that helped me, honestly, really turn my heart towards reunification before we got some of these placements. By the time we got to that point, I was like, this is about this family who was having a hard time and we want to bring them back together in a self-sacrificial way, and then we're ready to go. So I guess that would be my second piece of advice.
Yeah, that's really wise advice. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you.